There is a moment that comes late at night, when the messages stop, when the background noise of the day finally goes quiet, the screen goes dark, the room feels bigger than it did an hour ago, and suddenly you are alone with yourself. Not alone in a dramatic way, just alone. No one asking anything of you, no one watching, no one filling the space. For many of us, that moment carries a small panic. We don't always notice it, but it's there. A tightness in the chest, a reflex to reach for the phone, a need to turn something on. Because silence, to us, often feels like proof of something missing. Proof that we've been left behind. Proof that we are disconnected. We live in a world that treats aloneness like a problem to be solved. If you are alone too long, something must be wrong. You should be networking, dating, posting, replying. You should be visible. You should be reachable. You should be surrounded. And yet, even with all that connection, loneliness keeps growing. Studies show it. You can feel it. A strange contradiction where you are constantly in touch, but rarely at rest. I used to think loneliness came from not having enough people around. But over time, it starts to feel like something else. Like being alone isn't the problem. It's how we've been taught to interpret it. There is a country where this interpretation is different, where being alone is not treated as a warning sign, where silence is not rushed to be filled, where people can spend long stretches of time with themselves and not feel abandoned by the world. That place is Finland. And what's interesting is not that Finns never feel lonely. They do. But they've built a way of life where aloneness doesn't automatically turn into loneliness, where solitude is allowed to breathe, where being by yourself is not something you need to explain. To understand this, you don't need to start with happiness rankings or cultural stereotypes. You just need to start with a simple question. What if being alone wasn't something to fix? In Finland, you notice it almost immediately. The quiet. Not an empty quiet, but a settled one. People stand at bus stops with space between them, not because they are unfriendly, but because closeness is not demanded. On public transport, conversations are rare. No one feels the need to perform friendliness for strangers. No one apologizes for not filling the air. Silence is allowed to exist without meaning attached to it. In many places, silence feels like tension. In Finland, it feels like respect. You see it in conversations too. Long pauses are normal. Someone speaks, then there is space. No one rushes to jump in. No one interprets the pause as awkward. The silence is doing its own quiet work. Daily life follows this rhythm. After work, many people go home and simply stay there. Not because they have nowhere else to be, but because home is enough. Alone time is not framed as recovery from social exhaustion. It is simply part of the day. Then there is nature. Forests cover most of the country. Lakes appear everywhere, like they were placed intentionally to slow you down. People walk alone in the woods without music, without conversation, without urgency. In winter, darkness arrives early and stays. Instead of fighting it, life adjusts. Candles, soft light, stillness. And then there is the sauna, a small wooden room. Heat, steam, often silent, sometimes shared, sometimes alone. No phones, no hierarchy, no performance. Just bodies existing, breathing, sweating, resting. It is one of the few places where being together does not require talking, and being alone does not feel isolating. In summer, many Finns retreat to their mökki, a simple cabin near water. Days pass slowly, chopping wood, swimming, sitting, doing nothing that needs to be documented. From the outside, this life can look empty, but when you pay attention, you see something else, a comfort with oneself, a trust that connection does not disappear just because no one is speaking. Being alone here is not a statement, it's just a state. There are reasons this works, and they are deeper than personality. Finland is often ranked among the happiest countries in the world, but that word can be misleading. The studies behind these rankings, like the World Happiness Report, focus on life satisfaction, trust, and emotional stability, not constant joy. Finns are not known for being outwardly cheerful. They are known for being steady. Psychologists talk about something called attention restoration theory. It suggests that time spent in quiet, natural environments restores mental energy and reduces stress. Finland's closeness to nature makes this restoration part of everyday life, not a luxury. There is also high social trust. People trust institutions. They trust strangers to follow rules. They trust that they belong to a functioning whole. This matters because loneliness is often tied to insecurity. When the world feels unreliable, being alone feels unsafe. When the world feels stable, solitude feels supported. Culturally, there is a concept called sisu. It roughly translates to inner strength or quiet resilience, not loud confidence, not dramatic endurance. Just the ability to sit with difficulty without needing to escape it. This includes emotional discomfort, including loneliness. Research on social pressure shows that constant expectation to be socially available increases anxiety and burnout. Finland's low-pressure social norms reduce this. You are not expected to entertain. You are not expected to explain your absence. This absence of expectation creates emotional space. Even communication styles matter. Finnish culture leans toward low-context communication. What is said is meant plainly. What is not said is not assumed to be negative. Silence does not automatically imply rejection. All of this adds up to a society where being alone does not threaten your sense of belonging. You can step away without falling out. Watching this way of life, something shifts quietly inside you. You start to notice how much effort goes into proving that you are connected. How often you reach for your phone not because you want to talk, but because you don't want to feel alone. How silence has been framed as something dangerous. The Finnish way doesn't ask you to become distant or detached. It simply shows what happens when aloneness is no longer judged. When you walk alone without headphones, at first it feels exposed. Then, slowly, it feels grounding. When you sit in a room without filling the space, your thoughts settle. When you stop explaining why you need time to yourself, the time becomes restorative instead of defensive. Loneliness, you realize, often comes from resistance, from telling yourself that being alone means something bad about you. When that story softens, the feeling does too. You don't need to move to Finland to feel this shift. You just need moments where you allow yourself to be alone without interpreting it. Moments where you let quiet exist without rushing to replace it. There is relief in that, a subtle one, like unclenching a muscle you didn't realize was tense. In Finland, winter light moves slowly across snow. The air is cold and clean. A person walks alone across a frozen lake, footsteps echoing softly. No audience, no urgency. And somehow, it doesn't feel lonely. Maybe loneliness is not about how many people surround you. Maybe it's about whether you feel allowed to be where you are. Alone, quiet, unobserved. What if being alone was not a gap to be filled, but a place to arrive? The Finns don't romanticize solitude. They don't talk about it much at all. They simply live as if silence is trustworthy, as if presence does not require proof. And when you sit with that idea long enough, something loosens. You stop fighting the quiet. You let it sit beside you. And for the first time in a while, being alone doesn't feel like being left. It feels like being held by something wider.